Bucs fans, I'm your host, Dana Morales, and on this episode of Fear the Bay, of course, we have to talk about the big Tristan Wirfs right knee injury and how that affects the Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving forward. We're going to talk about some internal candidates they can look towards and also some free agent left tackles that they can look to sign if they go down that route. The Buccaneers are going to unveil some new alternative uniforms, some white creamsicles. We'll talk about that. Adam Rank predicts that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to miss the playoffs. We'll talk about his predictions. And lastly, Ndamukong has chosen to retire from the NFL. He helped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a Super Bowl in 2020. We'll talk about his retirement and more on this episode of Fear the Bay. Training camp, preseason, none of that is here yet, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have already suffered a major injury, and that is to their left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, really the cornerstone of this offensive line. One of, if not the best left tackles in the league. He got All-Pro at right tackle, All-Pro at left tackle. He's a one-of-a-kind type of specimen here, a true freak of an athlete. So Tristan Wirfs is going to be out with a right knee injury. It's an injury that he sustained last year, towards the middle end of the season, and re-aggravated it over the off season. Now chose to get surgery and is likely going to appear on the PUP list, the PUP list. And if he does, that means that he will be out for the first 4 games of the season. That is a major blow for the Buccaneers to start off their season with the loss of Tristan Wirfs, one of the best players in the league. So what is going on with this injury exactly? So Greg Auman, if you're not following Greg Auman on X, you should. He's one of the best Buccaneers followers out there. He says Bucs offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs had an MCL sprain in his right knee in November. Injured in the second quarter versus the 49ers. He missed the rest of that game, of course. Then the Buccaneers went on their bye week. He missed 1 game after that. That was week 12 against the New York Giants. The Buccaneers beat Tommy DeVito that game. You had Baker Mayfield doing the Tommy DeVito sign. And he returned the next week, week 13. In the offseason, of course, in mandatory OTAs and minicamp, he was wearing a right knee brace. Todd Bowles did say it was precautionary and believed that all these injuries that the Buccaneers have, for example, to Trey Palmer or David Walker, all these guys, Michael Pratt, all these guys should be ready for training camp to begin July 24th, July 25th. That was the hope. Now, it didn't turn out that way for Tristan Wirfs, of course, because he underwent knee surgery last month, or this month. So there is a doctor on X. His name is Jesse Morse, and he took his take on what he believes this injury exactly is and how it can affect Tristan Wirfs moving forward. He says that he believes that this is a right meniscus tear. So in his video, you can go watch his video, Dr. Jesse Morse on X. He believes it's a right meniscus tear, not a MCL. That would be a bit separate here, but he explains that with the meniscus, you have a red, it's kind of like 2 circles that meet on the knee. You have an outside lining, which is a red, and that one heals normally because it gets blood supply. But inside, there's kind of like this white lining on the inside of the meniscus, and he believes the meniscus for Tristan Wirfs has a slight tear in it. So this surgery that he underwent, he doesn't believe it's a full meniscus, rehealing or whatever meniscus surgery. He believes he likely trimmed. Tristan Wirfs got the inside white lining of his meniscus trimmed. So the doctor assumes that this will likely increase his development chances of getting arthritis in that right knee. Also talked about whenever Tristan Wirfs does things like squatting or bending down because of the weight and the pressure putting on his knee, he might feel a lot of pain or slight discomfort. So overall, it's unclear if exactly is an MCL sprain, if it's that same exact injury that he suffered last year against the 49ers, if it's a right meniscus tear. No matter what it is, again, he is going to likely appear on the PUP list. So at the beginning of the year, he won't count against the 53-man roster. But it will mean he's out for at least the first 4 weeks of the season, which is a major blow for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course. Who are they facing in the first 4 weeks? You have week 1, the Buccaneers, of course, on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. You have Leonard Floyd, pass rusher, who the Buccaneers are going to be facing week 1. Again, the Falcons, they drafted 2 first-round edge rushers also with Jalen Walker out of Georgia. You have James Pierce Jr. also. So the Buccaneers are going to have their hands full week 1. We remember last year when Luke Goedeke, right tackle, was out with a concussion. The Buccaneers went on the road against the Detroit Lions, and Justin School was filling in for right tackle Luke Goedeke, and 5 sacks. Baker Mayfield had a horrible day because 5 sacks was put upon him by his offensive line, and some of it, of course, by the quarterback's decision to hold on to the ball or not make the right decisions at certain times. But hopefully we don't see something similar to that for the first 4 weeks of the season, where the Buccaneers are just getting Baker Mayfield killed because Tristan Wirfs is out. But again, week 1, the Buccaneers are going on the road against the Falcons. You have 3 pass rushers who the Buccaneers are going to have their handful with. You have week 2, the Texans, the Buccaneers on the road against the Texans. You got Will Anderson, one of the best young pass rushers in the league. You got Daniel Hunter, good veteran. The Buccaneers, again, going to have their hands full there. When you don't have your left tackle, your blind spot for the quarterback, your blind spot protector. If there is one important, if there's one most important position on the offensive line, that is your left tackle. That's your blind side if you're a right-handed quarterback. For guys like Tua, for example, it will be your right tackle. But for most quarterbacks in the league, your left tackle is very, very, very important. So week 3, the Buccaneers have the New York Jets coming into town. Defense is, they're going to be possibly better under Aaron Glenn, new head coach, but not necessarily you need to rush Tristan Wirfs back for, but you can't if he's on the PUP list also. And then week 4, they have the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Eagles, with Nolan Smith and their Georgia Bulldogs coming in. They have a very tough defense. Without Tristan Wirfs, that might be a very tough game for the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Week 5 would be his first likely chance to return off the PUP list. If the Buccaneers can get him back healthy by week 5, that will be against the Seattle Seahawks, and they just signed the veteran pass rusher this free agency period from the Dallas Cowboys, DeMarcus Lawrence. So those are the first 4 games that he would be missing if he just misses the first 4 games. That's the Falcons, the Texans, the Jets, and the Eagles. You have the Eagles, of course, are the toughest of the matchups there. Texans could probably come in second place, then the Falcons, then the Jets. So without your left tackle, your superstar left tackle, who the PFF has him graded, Tristan Wirfs, they have him graded as for last year, the number 1 pass blocking offensive tackle in the league. They graded him out at a 93.7%. So you're going from one of the best offensive tackles in the league to who will that guy be to fill his shoes? Some external candidates. We'll go with some external candidates first. We have guys like Tyron Smith, who played with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers last year, suffered, I believe, a neck injury, is questioning retiring. He's, I believe, 34 at this point in his career. I've seen rumors about talk about the Dallas Cowboys possibly signing him to a 1-day contract and ending his career as a Dallas Cowboy. We'll see how that all works out, but if he's healthy, he's one of probably the top options that you can bring in from the outside at this point, given free agency has passed and you just have the remaining guys left over. His PFF grade for last year, he got a 73.7 overall grade, which put him at 30th out of 140 qualifying offensive tackles. He's really good still in the pass blocking and run blocking game. He was graded out at 72.3 pass blocking grade, and he has a 72.4 run blocking grade according to PFF. So he's still really good there in both the run and the pass. He allowed 5 sacks last season, had 6 penalties, played 592 offensive snaps. Again, he's a guy who suffered an injury last year. Possibly that could have been a career-ending injury. So what's the injury status? How healthy is he? We don't know at this point. Is he going to retire? But he's one of those external options that the Buccaneers could look towards if they want to go down that route. You have Jedrick Wills Jr. from the Cleveland Browns, who was their first-round pick a few years ago. He got benched last year after sitting out in a game where he decided not to go in against the Baltimore Ravens. The story is he had a hyperextended knee, I believe, and he didn't want to go out there. He didn't feel 100%. He didn't want to risk it. He probably didn't want to put bad film on for all 31 other teams. The Browns decide to bench him after this. Let's see his PFF grade for last year. Last year, he got a 52.9 overall PFF grade. Not too good, but at this point, you don't have many external options unless you go and trade for somebody. He got a 63.6 pass blocking grade for PFF. He got a 51.6 run blocking grade, so he's better against the pass than he is against the run. He's 26, same age as Tristan Wirfs, still a young guy. So if the Buccaneers know any more knowledge on him wanting to sit out, because again, Jason Light is a guy who's all about character. Does Wills fit this locker room with him sitting out? That would be a question for the Buccaneers front office to look into. You have, of course, Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He won a Super Bowl in Tampa. He went to the Chiefs, won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs also. He's 32 now. He hasn't played in a few years, I believe. He played 2023 with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he graded out a 55.4 overall grade. So you got a 55. That would be an F overall. 60.3 pass blocking grade, 45.1 run blocking grade, 9 penalties. That was always the biggest downside to Donovan Smith. A bit inconsistent play, but also the holding penalties has always been something that has been a negative for Donovan Smith. But Donovan Smith, again, is one of those options that the Buccaneers could look to. They know who he is. They're familiar with his character, familiar with who he is as a person. You have somebody else like Charles Leno Jr. He's another veteran, 33 years old now, hasn't played since 2023 also. What's his health status looking like? The last time he played in 2023, PFF graded him as the 32nd out of 137 qualifying offensive tackles. He got a 72.5 overall PFF grade. Really good against the pass blocking. He got a 77.8 overall pass blocking grade, a 62% run blocking grade. So quality veteran tackle here the Buccaneers could bring in. But again, he hasn't played since 2023. What is his health status looking like exactly? That would be something that the Buccaneers would need to know, of course, beforehand. You have David Bakhtiari, who former left tackle for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Will he come back this season? Of course, he had that leg injury. I believe it was a torn ACL a couple years back. Now, last time he played was in 2023. Also, PFF graded him at 78.3 overall grade. He was the 15th best tackle out of 137 qualifying offensive tackles. 89.9% pass blocking grade. Really, really, really good. Run blocking grade was a 68.6, allowed 0 sacks, had 0 penalties in 2023, but only played 55 offensive snaps, which is, of course, nothing because of injury. But what does his health status look like, and how much is he going to demand if the Buccaneers were to try to bring him in? But that is another external option, David Bakhtiari. And then you have Dwayne Brown, another veteran here. Last played for the New York Jets. He last played in 2023. He has, PFF gave him a 47.9 overall grade as an offensive tackle, which put him at 121st out of 137 offensive tackles. Not good. He's going to be 39, or he is 39 right now. He got a 38.3% pass blocking grade. Not good. He is better a bit in the run. He got a 53.5% pass blocking grade. He allowed 2 sacks in 2023 and 1 penalty. He played only 111 snaps. So the options, the external options for the Buccaneers, they're not necessarily good. I wouldn't go down this route if I was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, unless they find a young talent on a roster who right now is a backup in the Buccaneers, or a fringe starter, and the Buccaneers can trade a late round pick for a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick for, and have a little bit more security for the first 4 weeks, at least for the first 4 weeks, while Tristan Wirfs is out with his right knee injury. But you have a few external candidates. You have the undrafted free agent might butcher his name here, Ben Chickawama. He's from Georgia State, 6'6", 311. You have Luke Haggard, who the Buccaneers had last year, 6'7", 305, out of Indiana. And then the person who most likely will fill in the shoes as of now is Charlie Heck, who the Buccaneers signed this offseason to be their new swing tackle, taking over for the former Buccaneer swing tackle, Justin School, who went over to the Minnesota Vikings. But he's 6'8", 311. This is going to be his 6th year. He has 6 years in the league. From North Carolina. He was drafted in 2020 in the 4th round by the Houston Texans. So he played for the Texans, played for the Cardinals, the 49ers, and now with the Buccaneers. So he's been a bit of a journeyman so far in his career. A few notes that I have here: he's slightly better against blocking in the run game than he is in the pass game. He has exceptional size. He's 6'8", like I explained, 6'8", 311, 310, but he lacks core strength. He lacks strength. You see guys, he's not able to anchor down against bull rushes. He gets pushed back in the offensive, in the pocket, gets pushed back into the quarterback. So he has all this size, but he's not necessarily strong. He doesn't really hold himself. He doesn't really anchor himself in. He allows the pass rusher to just bully him and push him in. He plays too tall. He doesn't bend. He just basically stands straight. He's a bit slow. Another note I have here, but the Buccaneers don't have a lot of options, and if he can allow you to survive for 4 games, then he appears to be the internal candidate. But again, there is going to be some internal competition: Charlie Heck, Luke Haggard, Ben Chickawama. If the Buccaneers decide to bring in anybody else, or if they believe another tackle can come in and be a part of this competition, but we'll see. Real Bucs Talk, the YouTube channel Real Bucs Talk, they have a very good video that they recently uploaded on Charlie Heck, and it's a film breakdown. They're the best Buccaneers film YouTube channel there is currently. Really good guys, really knowledgeable guys. If you haven't checked out their video on Charlie Heck, I would go recommend that you do so right now or after this video. Really good video. But let's go over his scouting report from 2020. Again, he was drafted in the 4th round by the Houston Texans, and here's his scouting report written by Lance Zierlein. So overview: 3-year starter with offensive line play in his bloodlines. He's a tall tackle with an inevitable leverage and anchor concerns at times, despite playing with Ben. He plays really tall. He doesn't really bend as much. Maybe he did a bit more in college. He does have anchor issues, like we talked about. He's susceptible to be pushed backwards by bull rushes with guys with strength. He carries an NFL-ready frame with long arms and loose hips for move blocks and recoveries. His range and pass sets is just average, so he needs to get on top of rushers with his length early in the rep to maintain feel and widen the arc when needed. Heck has the talent to handle swing tackle duties and should be fully functional in all run blocking schemes. Now let's go over his strengths. His father is an NFL offensive line coach, much more fluid than expected for his size, athleticism, and agility to accelerate into or adjust to moving targets, makes combo blocks with desired rhythm, thrusts hips into base blocks and drives from insteps, transitions from pass punch to grip to slow the rush, reestablishes hand positioning through length and effort, gets length involved early in pass sets, adequate pass posture, makes athletic recoveries to wash rushers, past quarterbacks. So there's a few of his strengths. His weakness, very tall and high cut. Needs to improve core strength for better body control. This is what I was explaining. He's a very tall guy, has exceptional size, but he doesn't necessarily have strength. His core strength is a weakness, and you see that if you turn on the film. Narrows his base as drive blocker. Pad level allows him to be discarded during sustained phase. Struggles adjusting to cross phase movements. Early opener and pass sets, allows weight to slide too far outside, opening inside counter. Hands need to be quicker with his punch. Again, we talked about him being a bit slow. He's, as soon as the snap goes and he's getting into his set, he's very, very, very slow sliding back. High center of gravity leads to some anchor failure. So again, he's a big guy, doesn't have strength, doesn't know how to anchor down when guys are bull rushing or trying to use strength to defeat him and get to the quarterback. There's film where he's being thrown onto the floor, being pushed back all the way to the quarterback. There's a reason why he's moved around this is his fourth different team, but you hope that the Buccaneers can do something, maybe like have K-Dine or one of the tight ends chipping in and helping out the left tackle here, Charlie Heck, or maybe one of the other guys, Luke Haggard or Ben Chikwama, can show the Buccaneers that they can fill Tristan Wirfs' shoes for at least 4 weeks while he recovers and gets back healthy onto the field. But the Buccaneers, these are their internal options. Again, the Buccaneers' external options looks like Tyron Smith, Jedrick Willis Jr., you got Donovan Smith, Charles Leno Jr., you got David Bakhtiari, and you got Dwayne Brown. So you don't have many external options. And what would be the price and the health status of these guys that you would sign out on the street? Your internal options, Charlie Heck, Ben Chikwama, and Luke Haggard. So what would the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do? As of right now, I'm going to assume that they put in Charlie Heck, and he's going to be the guy who they go forward with in training camp. And it's going to be good, at least, that the Buccaneers understand right now that Tristan Wirfs is going to be out. So Charlie Heck is going to get all these reps right now at left tackle, unless they throw somebody in to have competition, of course. But he's going to get a lot of reps in at left tackle, with the other offensive linemen, Ben Bredeson right next to him, Graham Barton as the center. So he's going to be gelling with these guys in training camp in the preseason. So hopefully by the time week 1 comes, there's familiarity there. He knows, how his guy to the right of him, Ben Bredeson, he operates and his tells and all these things. So we'll see moving forward. I'm excited. I'm going to go to training camp July 24th and July 25th. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Charlie Heck and watching exactly how he performs against Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby, David Walker, and all the young Anthony Nelson, all the young pass rushers that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. But it's better that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, again, know early that Tristan Wirfs is going to be out rather than right before or during the season. So it's better. It's not great news, of course, but it's better to know this stuff now than later on, of course. So PFF had Tristan Wirfs graded as, he got an overall grade last year of 82.8. That was the 9th highest offensive tackle grade. So again, 82.8, which would be a B. And again, he's the 9th. He had the 9th highest grade out of offensive tackles last year. And the Buccaneers likely would go to Charlie Heck, who had a 41.2 overall grade last year, which put him at the 134th overall offensive tackle. So the Buccaneers going from the 9th best, according to the overall PFF grades, the 9th best offensive tackle in the league, which I believe he's number 1 or 2, not number 9, but the 9th best overall graded offensive tackle to the 134th overall graded tackle. So Big drop off. How is that going to affect, of course, Baker Mayfield and in the pass game? How is it going to affect Bucky Irving in the run game? So the Buccaneers are likely going to have to, get the ball out quickly from Baker Mayfield's hands. We'll see what Josh Brazard does, but he has time to see exactly how Charlie Heck is going to hold up with the other offensive linemen. And the Buccaneers need to make sure that they support Charlie Heck if he's the guy at left tackle with a tight end on his side chipping in, helping him out, because you don't want what happened last year, for example, with Justin School and Aiden Hutchinson to happen again, something like that to happen again, where Baker Mayfield is just getting destroyed. And that's a big risk for his health, of course, and his longevity in the season. But let's get to our top 3 headlines now. Bucs fans, want to know how you can help this channel, Fear the Big, grow and expand? All you have to do is 3 simple things: like, subscribe, and comment. They're quick, they're simple things to do, they're free, and what it does is it helps boost out this content to more Buccaneers fans like yourself. So when YouTube sees you liking, subscribing, and engaging with the content, they boost this content out to more viewers like yourself. So please, if you can, like, subscribe, and comment. That helps me out a lot. And let's get back to the video. We don't want to miss that. This offseason, no team has changed their official base uniforms, but teams are embracing alternative uniforms and bringing back old throwbacks, or just completely making a new alternative uniform or helmet. Some of those teams include the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who on July 15th are going to unveil what most people believe, and I believe, is going to be a white creamsicle uniform. We won't know exactly until the reveal, but it appears to celebrate their 50th season, the white creamsicles will make the return. Other teams like the Washington Commanders on July 9th unveiled their Super Bowl era uniforms, which are their original Washington Redskins uniform that they're bringing back now, and they look very clean. You have the Saints, who on July 9th also unveiled their new white alternative helmet, which is very nice. I'm not a Saints fan, of course, by any stretch of the imagination, but you can't deny how clean and how nice these white gold helmets are. You have the Chargers, who on July 15th also are going to unveil their what many believe are going to be their navy blue alternative throwback uniforms. Also, that's going to look really, really nice, most likely. So a lot of exciting throwback uniforms and alternative uniforms that we're seeing now. So let's talk about we could talk about the Saints one first here. So the Saints' new alternative helmet, it's white. It looks like maybe this pearl white. Very, very nice. They have the gold face mask over the top as a stripe. They have a golden stripe outlined with white and black. They have the little Saints logo in the inside. Is very, very, very light here. Very nice. I'd rank this probably again, not a Saints fan by any stretch of the imagination, but very clean helmet. When they lose, they're going to be losing in style, so it's going to be very nice for them. But this is an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10. Very good looking helmet here. I really like that helmet. They can wear it with their full white uniform, alternative uniforms. That's going to look nice for them. Again, losing in style. The Chargers, we don't know what their uniform is going to look like. There's concept art online with the full navy blue helmet and the gold bolt. The navy blue uniform, shirt, and pants. We don't know what theirs is going to look like yet. We'll see on July 15th, same day that the Buccaneers are going to unveil their new alternative uniforms. The Washington Commanders, now they unveiled their Super Bowl, they call them their Super Bowl era uniforms, alternative uniforms. They're very nice. These are a huge upgrade. They should just go straight from their current uniforms, which are they have the white, but the color is like fading. The burgundy and the color is fading. I don't really like those ones that they wear now. But they should just easily move over to these uniforms and make these their true base uniforms. They're the classic Washington Redskins uniform, but without, of course, the logo. They just have the W as their logo. Very clean, the burgundy, the gold. I think more teams should embrace these modern throwbacks, bringing back, old, beautiful, cherished uniform, making it a bit modern to fit the times, but they're very clean, they're very sleek. I really like these uniforms. The helmet is a better burgundy as well, a bit brighter, a bit nicer there. The Buccaneers, again, we haven't seen theirs as of this point, as of this recording. The Buccaneers will unveil their new uniforms on July 15th again, but they're likely going to be the white creamsicle uniforms, and we have some concept art online. You can go find one at WIRTJES, Rob Warchers. I don't want to butcher his name, but you can go find him again at WIRTJES. He has a concept art of what he believes the white creamsicle uniform is going to look like. Now, will it be full white or will it be white top, creamsicle pants? I believe it's likely going to be the full white creamsicle uniforms, but we'll see here. But these look very, very, very nice. I know the team store is going to open on Tuesday, corresponding with the unveiling of these throwback uniforms, but very nice, very clean. If this is what it's going to come out looking like. You have the the orange creamsicle face mask, the white helmet, the white shirt with the numbers and creamsicle outlined in red. You have the pants, which are a creamsicle striped outlined with red also. White socks here. Very, very, very nice. I like their regular creamsicle uniforms. I think those are one of the, if not the best, throwback uniforms in the league. And if they add these, it'll be very clean, very top tier throwback uniforms. Of course, the Buccaneers went like 0-26 when they started in 1976. So part of the bringing back these uniforms is, you're fully celebrating your team history, but also acknowledging, part of this horrible start that the franchise had. But really, really clean here. I like these a lot. So we'll see exactly what the Buccaneers white creamsicle uniforms are going to look like, but I'm really excited. I want to see what these look like. And for the Commanders, embrace your Super Bowl era uniforms. Go fully all in and change your normal base uniforms next year to these uniforms. These look very, very, very nice. Jaden Daniels and the whole Washington Commanders crew can be winning in style there. Let's get to our second headline. Adam Rank of NFL Network recently did his Buccaneers season prediction, and he has the Buccaneers going 8-9, missing the playoffs for the first time since before 2020 and 2019, and really losing a lot more games than they should. So all these predictions, they're just people's opinion. You shouldn't hold too much weight to them, of course, especially with these media analysts from big national networks who don't necessarily know exactly what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I did want to talk about it because I don't know how you can look at this roster, the Buccaneers roster, and not believe that they can win the NFC South and not believe that they can't find their way into the playoffs. Even if Tristan Wirfs was out for the entire season, the Buccaneers, I'm sure, can still find a way. Now, that's a horrible scenario. You don't want to find yourself in that scenario. But I'm sure the Buccaneers can still find a way to sneak into the playoffs. This is a very weak division. It's the Buccaneers, then it's the Atlanta Falcons, and there's a bit of a drop-off there. They're close, but a bit of drop-off. And then you got the Saints and the Panthers fighting for who's going to be in third place, basically. But let's go through Adam Rank's full season predictions here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So week 1, he has the Buccaneers are on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. He has the Buccaneers winning that game. But here's the thing. When he did the Falcons, so this is how much, maybe you should put any merit into this, any real heavy thought into this, because he did the Atlanta Falcons season prediction, and he has the Falcons also winning week 1. So for the Buccaneers predictions, he has the Buccaneers winning week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons. And for the Falcons, their season prediction, he has the Falcons winning week 1 against the Buccaneers for their, it doesn't really make any sense. So with these national pundits, he shouldn't really put much thought into it. They don't know. Sometimes they're just making content. But he has the Falcons, the Buccaneers winning week 1 against the Falcons, losing week 2 against the Texans, winning week 3 against the Jets, losing week 4 against the Eagles, who Todd Bowles has really had the Eagles number ever since he's been here, really. Week 5, he has, that's at Seattle, at the Seahawks. He has the Buccaneers losing. So far, that's week 5. He has the Buccaneers at 2-3. Entering week 6. Week 6 versus the 49ers, he has the Buccaneers winning. I would have a loss here. I don't believe that the Buccaneers and Todd Bowles, as I've talked about before in my scheduled prediction, I don't believe the Buccaneers have the number, Kyle Shanahan's number and how to beat him. Week 7, he has the Buccaneers losing against the Lions. This one, I have the Buccaneers winning. But he has them losing. The Lions lost their offensive coordinator to the Chicago Bears. He's now their head coach. They lost their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, to the New York Jets. He's their head coach now also. They lost their starting center. So they've had some significant losses. So we'll see if the Lions can still stay strong, but I believe they'll be able to rebound and recover with Dan Campbell as their head coach. He has the Buccaneers winning week 8 at the Saints. The Buccaneers go on their bye, so their bye week is week 9. So right now the Buccaneers are 4-4 entering week 9. So they're 500 entering their bye week. Coming out of the bye week, they're going up against the New England Patriots. He has the Patriots losing that match, the Buccaneers winning. So the Buccaneers will be 5-4. He has the Buccaneers losing to the Bills. This can be a very tough game. I have the Buccaneers also losing to the Bills in week 11. Now, we'll see what happens. We'll see how both teams are doing. But right now, the very, very early predictions, I agree with Adam Rink in week 11 that the Buccaneers are going to lose. He has the Buccaneers winning week 12 at the Rams. This is another one, just like the 49ers, that the Buccaneers for the past few years have not shown that they can beat the LA Rams, but he has the Buccaneers winning here. Week 13 versus Cardinals, he has the Buccaneers beating the Cardinals. Week 14 versus the Saints, he has the Buccaneers winning against the Saints. Then the Buccaneers enter a bit of a losing streak here for the final few weeks of the year. Week 15, 16, and 17. That is, week 15 is versus the Falcons. That's like loss he has. Week 16, that's at the Panthers. He has the Buccaneers losing against the Panthers here. Week 17 at the Miami Dolphins. It's Tua going to be healthy? What is the state of the Dolphins going to look like in week 17? But he has the Dolphins winning and the Buccaneers losing in week 17. So Buccaneers are 8-8 entering the final week of the season, and he has the Buccaneers winning. That would have been 7-8, and he has the Buccaneers winning 7-9. He has the Buccaneers winning week 18. So now the Buccaneers are 8-9. So he has the Buccaneers losing the NFC South, missing out on the playoffs. I don't see, unless Baker Mayfield sustains a season-long injury, or Chris Godwin can't come back for the whole season and you have some weird, decline or injury for Mike Evans or something. I don't know how the Buccaneers you can say that they'll miss out on the playoffs this year and lose the NFC South. They're truly, if they can get Tristan Wirfs back healthy and get Chris Godwin back healthy at the right times, they're a Super Bowl contender team. And the Buccaneers, they're not getting the respect they should be getting at this time. The Atlanta Falcons are always kind of a sweetheart team because of some of the moves they make in the offseason, but those moves never come to fruition. They never actually result into victories, at least not yet for the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't agree with Adam Rink here. I don't believe the Buccaneers are going to go 8-9. I have the Buccaneers at about 12-5, 11-6. That's kind of where I have them at. But all these rankings, they're filler for the offseason. We have training camp, we have preseason, like week 1 coming up real soon. And the Buccaneers will show for themselves, are they really 8-9 team? Are they a 12-5 team? Are they better? Or are they worse? So we shouldn't put too much thought into these types of rankings at this point of the year. Now let's get to our final headline. Ndamukong Suh, one of the dirtiest players in the game, that's how he was labeled for many years, has decided to retire from the NFL. Now, he was a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, of course. He played for quite a few other teams, and he helped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a Super Bowl in 2020. Let's read his retirement post here. This is July 12, 2024, was the hardest day of my life. It's the day I said goodbye to my father, the man who raised me, shaped me, challenged me, and believed in me before I believed in myself. He wasn't just a dad. He was my idol, my coach, and my anchor. He taught me what it meant to be disciplined, focused, and relentless in everything I do. Every snap I took in football carried his fingerprint. Every time I lined up across from someone, I could hear his voice pushing me, reminding me that I wasn't just representing myself. I was representing him, my family, my name. Before he passed, he gave me one final piece of advice. It's time to let football go. You've done everything you set out to do. Now it's time for the next chapter. That conversation stayed with me. So today, 1 year later, I am honoring that wish. I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I have so many memories to cherish. 13 seasons, 5 All-Pro. He was a 5-time All-Pro player, 5-time Pro Bowl player, 5-time All-Pro, a Super Bowl ring. Of course, that's with the Buccaneers in 2020. Countless battles in the trenches. I left it all on the field. And now I'm stepping away with peace and gratitude because I've been preparing for this moment for years. Football was my passion, but it was never my end game. My next season is about impact, purpose, and legacy, and helping others build wealth, lead with intention, and create lasting freedom. I've lived, I've learned, I've built, I've failed, I've succeeded. And now I want to share what I've learned, especially with athletes, entrepreneurs, and young people navigating life and money. That's why I created the No Free Lunch podcast. It's about real conversations, real strategy, and real education. Because freedom doesn't come from fame, it comes from knowledge and how you move. Now I'm using my platform to serve something bigger. If you ever followed my journey, thank you. If you've ever cheered, supported, critiqued, or pushed me, you're a part of the reason I kept going. And if you're wondering what's next, tune in, follow along, and I'm just getting started. So Ndamukong Suh retires, of course, here from the NFL. Hasn't necessarily played in a few years. Last time he played was for the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe in the 2022 season. Again, he started his career with the Detroit Lions, was part of the 2010 draft class with Gerald McCoy, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, long-tenured Tampa Bay Buccaneer, the face of the franchise for many years here in Tampa. So he started off with the Detroit Lions, then went to the Miami Dolphins, got a huge mega deal with the Miami Dolphins. Then in 2018 goes on to the LA Rams, spends 2018 with them. After that, 2019, he comes over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And right away when he comes over, so the Buccaneers parted ways. This was when Bruce Arians came in. That was the 2019 year. They part ways with Gerald McCoy, quickly give up his 93 to Ndamukong Suh, which I don't know how I would take that if I was a long, tenured Buccaneer and the face of a franchise for many years. Of course, he's not at the level of Lamonte David or Mike Evans in any aspect like that. But right away, they gave his 93 away to Ndamukong Suh. And it was probably a bit pissed with that. So he went over to the Carolina Panthers. Gerald McCoy did. But Ndamukong Suh, of course, comes to 2019, wins the Super Bowl in 2020, stays along for one more year in 2021. The Buccaneers, of course, don't win in 2021, lose in the playoffs. That deep pass for Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp, and the Rams go on to win the Super Bowl and not the Buccaneers, being the NFC representative. But what I wanted to do here is do a little examination between Ndamukong Suh and Gerald McCoy, who had, the better of the two careers. So, of course, in that 2010 draft class, you have the number 1 overall pick was quarterback Sam Bradford. Number 2, you had Ndamukong Suh going to the Detroit Lions. And then the 3rd overall pick, selected by Mark Dominic at the time, general manager at the time with the Buccaneers, was Gerald McCoy from Oklahoma. So you have one Bradford, but then, the 2 defensive linemen. And because of that, because of the comparisons early on in their career, going number 2, number 3, there was a lot of talk earlier on, I remember, as to who was going to have the better career. And there are really 2 polar personalities. You have Ndamukong Suh, who is this dirty player. He's a good guy when you hear him, you hear him talking. He doesn't seem like the same guy who plays on the field, but he plays with a very, dirty, nasty streak to him, a very, really nasty attitude to him, kind of like a Ryan Jensen, but kind of to the next level. I remember when he was part of the Detroit Lions, he stepped on center Evan Dietrich Smith's arm. I remember that was a big deal. He would step on players, stomp players out sometimes. But you have Ndamukong Suh, this nasty, mean player, and you have Gerald McCoy, who is the polar opposite. He's Mr. Nice Guy, kind of in a way. He would pick. I remember I believe it was Ben Roethlisberger. We were playing against I believe it was Ben Roethlisberger or against the Atlanta Falcons. But the quarterback, he had knocked down the quarterback, and he goes down, and he picks up the quarterback. So you have 2 completely polar opposite personalities here. But Ndamukong, both former Tampa Bay Buccaneers too, of course. But Ndamukong Suh played in 199 games, and Gerald McCoy played in 140 games. Now, Gerald McCoy's career ended with the Dallas Cowboys. He suffered a quad injury on the first day of training camp. So you never want any of these injuries for any of these guys, especially in training camp when the season hasn't even begun yet. And you have so many high hopes for what the season may look like, it may turn out to be. But he played in a total of 140 games, and Ndamukong Suh had a total of 71.5 sacks throughout his career. So 5-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 71.5 sacks, and Gerald McCoy had 59.5 sacks. So, of course, Suh wins there. In terms of solo tackles, Ndamukong Suh had 392 solo tackles, with Gerald McCoy getting 235. So it's kind of, you had at this time, you have Ndamukong Suh, you have Gerald McCoy, you also had Geno Atkins of the Bengals. I remember Geno Atkins, kind of those top interior defensive linemen there, those 3 techniques, those defensive tackles. 5 forced fumbles from Ndamukong Suh. This is where Gerald McCoy beats him, because he had 6 forced fumbles throughout his career. 2 really good players, I would say, overall. But who was the better player? I think you would have to go with, and you can leave out the Super Bowl. You just go based off of stats and the eye test. I would go with Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong Suh was the better player. Now, I know a lot of Bucs fans, they don't like Gerald McCoy for a lot of reasons. He's not a bad guy. I don't know why so many people hate him so much. He's a good guy. I remember him bringing Kona Ice out to the players when I was a kid in training camp and watching him do that kind of stuff. He was a good guy. He liked superheroes and stuff like that, but I don't understand the hatred. He wasn't the reason why the Buccaneers lost so many games throughout his tenure here. If anything, he was one of the lone bright spots while he was here in Tampa Bay during those many losing seasons, all the way until we get to 2020 with the arrival of Tom Brady. But Ndamukong Suh, he had a great career. He was very deserving of that number 2 overall selection back in 2010. Great career for a guy. who was one of the nastiest players in the entire game, stepping out on players. I remember as a kid watching the highlights on ESPN or NFL Network of him stomping out guys. Real nasty guy. Not a guy that you want to get into a fight with, I would say. But congratulations, Ndamukong, on a great career you had in the NFL, and I hope your next chapter is even better than your football chapter. Bucs fans, if you like what you heard today, please like, subscribe, and comment. I've had a lot of fun making these videos. Training camp is right around the corner, so I'm really excited about that. Please, again, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys in the next Fear the Bay video. Thank you for watching.